everybody, Randy Patterson here with Boomerocity, and I have a very special episode for you this time. If you recall, back in the 80s, there was a great band called Living Colour, and of course, everybody heard their song Cult of Personality, and that just the guitar riffs on that, man. I just love the complexity and the tones and all that stuff. And the guitarist on that in that band and the founder of that band was Vernon Reid, and he just went on to create some of the most amazing music of all kinds of genres and fusing it all in together and making sounds that can directly be attributed to his creation. And so, since Living Colour's still around, they get together every once in a while, put out some new music, and you can hear some news on that in this interview. But Vernon has just got such a wide range of work, including performing at the Millennial celebration at the end of the 90s in Washington, D.C., where he and Edgar Winter and Kenny Arnott and Nathan East backed John Fogerty and played for the First Family there. And what an amazing performance they did. And Vernon was just, how he just brought the music to a different level is beyond words. And so Vernon has a brand new solo album out or about to come out, depending on when you're hearing this interview. It is called Hoodoo Telemetry, and it is what you might expect from Vernon. A lot of different sounds, a lot of different genres represented in here. Brilliant musicianship, brilliant songwriting, incredible vocals by guests, and I think you're really going to love this album, especially if you're already a Vernon Reid and Living Colour fan. So I highly encourage you to go ahead and pre-order the album if you haven't already, and because I know you're going to enjoy the heck out of it. While you're listening or watching this, would you go ahead and hit like and subscribe? Shouldn't cost you anything. At least I'm not charging you anything for it. And it helps Boomerocity out a lot. And please, please, please share this with your friends and ask them to do the same. So without any further ado, here is my first of what I hope are many more interviews to come with the great Vernon Reid. Until next time, this is Randy Patterson with Boomerocity. Take care.
Hello.
Hello, I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Yeah, I know. I'm having a weird moment here.
Take your time. I'm in no hurry.
Actually, not a weird moment, but a typical
there you are.
A typical moment. That's what I'm having.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that has those.
Oh yeah, this whole thing is like, it's kind of like it started with Dick Tracy with the wristwatch radio, and now we have all of these. Now we take the most incredible things for granted. That's why I think when our robot overlords arrive, we'll be practically issuing. We'll be ready. We'll be ready when the robot overlords arrive.
We'll just fall right in line, won't we?
We've been entertaining. You know what? We've been prepping ourselves for this for years. I mean, honestly, if you think about it, we've been setting it up since at least the 50s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The
Jetsons, Dick Tracy.
In fact, we feel, if you're a certain age, you feel deeply aggrieved. The Jetsons set us up for failure. We were ready. When ZZ Top had that moving walkway, that's like the closest we got to the Jetsons, kind of. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So,
Stop
this crazy thing. Let's start
with this crazy thing called Zoom, right?
Yeah, I know.
Well, hey, before we get into this great album of yours, there's a couple of things
Oh,
I wanted to mention or ask you about or whatever kind of not kind of background. But
yeah.
when I started researching for us to talk, I was reminded I have this little, probably not very well known compilation collaboration album called Stone Free, the music of
Oh,
Jimi
yeah.
Hendrix.
Yeah.
And I saw this little band called Living Color doing Crosstown
Yeah.
Traffic on there. I'd forgotten
Yeah.
all about that. And you
Yeah.
don't see it talked about out on the internet, but I knew Living Color was hit me for another reason besides all the obvious. And man,
Yeah.
you guys tore it up on that song, man.
Oh man, thank you so much. I mean, well, Jimi Hendrix remains a huge inspiration, but for so many reasons, so many other reasons. I mean, his guitar playing, but his songwriting, his singing, his whole. I mean, the fact that he's like a figure out of Joseph Campbell. Like if
Yeah.
anyone took the hero's journey, it was Jimi Hendrix. He went into the unknown. He went
Mm-hmm.
into the underworld, you know,
Yep.
and he created these amazing pieces of music, and his influence. I mean, he wasn't alone in at that time period,
Right.
but he was kind of maybe the most extreme.
Yeah.
Like Jeff Beck was messing with feedback, different people, but he was the most extreme example of it. The most extreme, like the parameters of the guitar from complete noise to the most gentle feathering melody, and he would just
Mm-hmm.
go like he would turn the volume knob down and it would be just so gentle, and he turned the volume knob up and it was just a catastrophe, a roaring, and he was in control of this thing, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
no one had ever taken the guitar, the aspect of amplification and the guitar in real time in the way he did. Then he was this incredible cat in the studio. So anyway, all that to say, blah blah blah. I mean, Hendrix. It's almost a cliche, but I cannot get past the fact of what he did in a really short time span, and
Mm-hmm.
not just playing great, and not just the blues, and not just what he did with the available technology, but the things he said. He was influenced directly by Bob Dylan. He's influenced
Yep.
directly by Bob Dylan, and he wrote these songs that were not imitation Bob Dylan songs.
Right.
That,
Right.
even though, so like Watchtower is like it's right there, but then when Castles Made of Sand is like an extra. You mean, and the influence, that kind of wordplay, but the song is not a Dylan, so it's a Hendrix tune
That's right.
completely, right? And he had a way of crafting an emotion, like freaking manic depression.
Yep.
I mean, that's like one of the earliest tunes about mental illness, like, ever, and
Yep.
really effective, right? It's like
Yep.
he lays out his symptoms and
Yep.
says what it is. It's
Yep.
wild, yeah, yeah. No, but anyway, blah blah blah.
Well, I just had to call that song out. How you guys tore it up,
Thank
man!
you.
I love your cover of it. Have
Yeah,
you ever met his sister Janie, who
of
manages
course,
the estate? Yeah,
I
yeah.
know.
I love her, man. I've interviewed her several times, and she has done an amazing job with the estate and gets a lot of criticism. But man, I think she should be saluted. You know. But
Yeah, she's kept it move. She's kept it moving, and and then the family had some real conflict, but Mr. Hendricks saw it come back firmly into the family's hands before he passed,
yep,
and a lot of that is due to Jane.
yep, that's true. A couple people you've worked with that I've also had the privilege of interviewing that, and again recently was Cindy Blackman Santana.
Oh,
I
oh yeah,
adore her, man. She is so much
yeah,
fun
man.
to talk to and such a
Yeah.
great musician. And then you worked with Terry Bozzio. Now, I haven't interviewed Terry,
Oh,
but I interviewed Dale
yeah, but yeah,
a
Terry,
couple
Terry,
years ago.
you interviewed Dale. I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan. I mean, that Missing Persons, I love the Spring Session M. Oh my gosh, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, what a beautiful. I mean, Miles Davis was a huge fan,
Hmm.
of that band. Yeah. Hmm.
So, and then this last one, then we'll get into this
Yeah.
album of yours. I was going back and watching video, different aspects of your career, and I saw the Millennial concert, and I saw you there
Oh,
with
that's
Edgar Winter, another kind soul, man. I love Edgar.
oh yeah.
He's always great to talk to, and of course, I saw Kenny on the drums, but I
Oh yeah,
wasn't sure.
Kenny Aronoff, man.
Yep, yep. But what I was curious about was that Nathan East on bass?
That's Nathan East on bass. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought. Another kind soul. Edgar and Nathan on the same stage, man. You can't get much more kindness on a stage than those
I
two.
know. I know. It was, I tell you what, it was the funniest thing about that, the America's Millennium concert,
Hmm.
because they're putting together tunes for Mr. Fogerty. What are we going to do? This, that, and the thing. And I said, and I remember on the come said, we got to play Fortunate Son.
Hmm.
I remember saying, we got to play Fortunate Son. So when we started playing Fortunate Son, we could see the first family was like right in front of us, and we were playing it, and I
Right.
could see Bill Clinton mouthing the words as we were playing it. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Well, that was right in his ballpark, man. I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah,
college campus and those songs being played, he could resonate with the meaning
100.
behind that specific song.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So this album, man, Vernon, tell me about it, man. Tell me what story behind it, how it came together, all that kind of
Well,
stuff.
it's kind of it's been a long time coming. I did a record called Mistaken Identity back in the '90s, and I did a couple of other things for Favored Nations, and then
Hmm.
Mascot picked up Favored Nations, and then entered into a conversation about, we want to make another record. And so I had Stu Fine was my A&R, and it was all kind of pre the pandemic. And then the pandemic hit, and it was just a funny, it was a, because I was gathering my thoughts, you're checking out this, that, and the other, checking out tunes that I wanted to do, was doing some writing and going back and forth. And when the pandemic hit, it was it wasn't like, okay, I'm gonna make my record. It was a very weird time. It was a
Hmm.
very, very weird time. And I remember my gym had closed down, and I started riding my bicycle. I started riding my bicycle around the city just to get some exercise. I rode over a bunch of the bridges, and took photographs and things like that, and was, doing some, and I was doing a bunch of playing. It was kind of remote. It was all a very weird thing was going on. And then in the midst of it, it was funny. It was a funny day. We were doing Living Color. We were participating in a tribute to David Bowie, and we
Ah.
were recording from Mike Garza. Mike Garza, Bowie's MD and phenomenal piano player.
Hmm.
And I remember going over the bridge and hearing, it was December 7th, 2021. And I remember Paul Simon's song, The Mother and Child Reunion, was playing. And I hadn't heard in a while. I love this song. I hadn't heard in a long time. And it just really struck me hearing it, right? So we go and we do this. We do Young Americans, and man, we did that with David Sanborn, which is
Whoa.
heavy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, David Sanborn played on it. And we did I'm Afraid of Americans.
Hmm.
And turned out that that evening, like, one of my closest friends and colleagues, the writer Greg Tate, had passed away. I got the call the next morning, and it's been a shattering. It's been He was the first writer to take me really seriously, and he wrote about myself and another dear friend who's passed, Ronnie Drayton, the great guitarist Ronnie Drayton. We were both on the cover of Musician magazine, but it was Greg Tate that wrote the article. And then we've been friends for years. We were friends for a really long time. And he turned me on to, we were both science fiction fans. We were fans of all kinds of music. We talked about Miles. We talked about Sun Ra. We talked about Van Halen. We talked about Hendrix. It was, and he turned me on to the writer William Gibson. That's how I,
Mm.
read Neuromancer, right? That's where
Mhm.
the Matrix, the phrase "the Matrix," that's William Gibson invented that, right?
Right, right.
So going all the way, all that to say that ultimately, when I was gathering up material, that I wanted to make a record that Greg Tate would like. I mean,
Hmm.
his is the first dedication in the album notes. The record's really dedicated to him, and in fact, three of the tracks were recorded live with Burnt Sugar, the orchestra chamber, and
Hmm.
that was his band that he founded along with Jared Michael Nickerson, the bassist, and it was based, excuse me, based around some of the ideas of the great trumpeter and composer Butch Morris, which is around conducted improvisation. So using a bunch of gestures and the baton to give different signals to the players. And he called that system conduction. And Greg adopted some of that. And he was always fascinated with bands like E-Funk, Sun Ra, Art Ensemble of Chicago. And these are some of my favorite ensembles too. So anyway, I did 3 tracks on this album with Burnt Sugar: Politician, The Bronx Paradox, and Freedom Jazz Dance. The
Mm.
other tracks are some of them are older pieces of music that I've stripped down and done new parts. And I've kept like 1 or 2 elements. I've kept the vocal, and I've done new drums, new bass, new
Hmm.
guitar with them. Other tracks are kind of um constructed together. So that's kind of the tunes are from this current period. Some of them go way back, but it's like I've covered myself on a level, you know.
Right, right.
I
Makes
mean,
sense.
like songs that I had that I didn't fit with Living Color. For me, didn't fit with Living Color. They didn't fit on the Yohimbi Brothers record, or they didn't fit on the previous record. And this is a time that I thought, okay, I love the song. I want this song out, like Beautiful Bastard. I want this
Hmm.
song out, which is the current that just came out yesterday,
Right.
featuring vocals from Rashid, who is, a phenomenal singer. And I'd worked with him in the way back. And we'd done
Hmm.
that track and updated it. And the previous single is The Haunting, which
Hmm.
features Kevin Webb. And Kevin is um, we're both big fans of Prince, so there's a bit of a Prince, like from the pop life era of Prince. There's a little of that, and
Hmm.
there's a bit of Sly Stone thing. With Beautiful Bastard is a funny because it's like a murder ballad. It's like
Hmm.
Stagger Lee, shot Billy, or something like that, or Frankie and Johnny were lovers. It's that
Yeah.
kind of a thing, lie on the floor, and it's about you know what? The best phrase for it, it's about a situationship.
Situationship. I haven't heard that phrase before. I like it.
You ever heard that? The
Nope.
youngins are all talking about it. That's like the first time I heard was on a podcast, and these girls were, yeah, I'm in a situationship. I said, dude, tell me more. What's that? You know what I mean?
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
And in reality, the situationship is, the situationship is, the situationship is, the situationship is, is exact. It pinpoints a certain kind of relationship that I think many of us have experienced,
Hmm.
where there's no the lines are blurred, the passion is strong, the logic is completely absent. It's
It
like
it takes over the phrase. It's complicated. So
it's complicated. It's exactly that, and it's about it's about duplicity, complicity, all of those things. And when you have a person in your life, you have a woman in your life who is how you can't even you keep like you try to explain it to your friend, and you find at a certain point they're looking at you and they're like, and you can't explain it to yourself. You can't explain it to yourself. You
been
know,
there, man. I've been there.
yeah, that's what I mean. So yeah, so that's kind of where that song is coming from. And Beautiful Bastard is kind of like, well, we've always had this. Certain things are just gendered, right? Like the word, bastard is gendered towards males, and the word bitch is gendered towards females. But
Females, yeah.
as you know, in the modern days, men are calling each other's bitches all the time now, right?
Hmm.
So if that's the case, then a woman can be an absolute bastard and a and,
which
and
is
a
which
beautiful
which is worse?
and a beautiful bastard in the bargain.
That was very diplomatic, Bert.
Barry, at this point, as a happily married man, I have to be diplomatic. I know you understand.
I do. I've been divorced for 11 years. I understand.
Well, part of the thing about songwriting, you have to have access. I mean, whatever you're writing about. And songwriting is about having access to all points in your life.
Hmm.
And one of the things that's funny is that you have to live with, because if you whatever your situation is, right, you have to live with the lyric. Because some people, because your significant other is going to hear that lyric and go, that song, I know that song's not about me. And, and that's the thing. And so the thing is, in order to write truly about your slice, everything we do is our slice of the human condition. Like everything we play is our slice of the human condition.
Hmm.
Whatever we get to or don't get to, that's what it is. And the most honest thing, if you want to be quote unquote universal, then specificity is required. You have to talk about certain specific things. Now, this song, in a way, of course, it ends in tragedy and murder. But I at the end of that relationship, I wasn't killed, I ain't killed nobody, right?
Right.
But
We want to make
but
that clear.
we want to make that clear in case certain authorities are listening. You know what I mean? Uh, but the metaphor for the death of a relationship, you know, um, with lies in our mouths, with lies in our heads, right? And
Hmm.
that's, I mean, some people will never admit the thing or say the thing. They won't do it. And we just move on to end scene, and we move on, and you carry that baggage. People carry that luggage, if you will,
Hmm.
into the next scenario.
Hmm.
Enter scene one with the next woman, the next person, whoever, and then it unfolds again. It unfolds again,
Yep.
and that's what this tune. I'm hoping that people can get to. Like one of my favorite lines is "You're my disaster," right? Because yeah, you could say you're a disaster, judgmental, blah blah blah, all that. But when you say you're my, it's not about her. It's about you. It's about whatever is going on that you can't resolve is twisting your mind up. That's inside of you. She's cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She
Yep.
she's and vice versa from her point of view. And you can go through it. And the thing that's real deep is you're lucky if the relationship doesn't produce kids, right? Because oftentimes that's what happens. All of that happens, and now there's another person that's looking to two people, and they're confused as to where they fit, and you're confused as to where they fit, and we that's how we do,
Yep.
that's how we. So that's kind of my thing in terms of songwriting and talking about love. I think about love as a very, the Spinners had a great line: "Love don't love nobody," and it's a powerful emotion. It's a necessary emotion, but and hey man, if it's your high school sweetheart and your parents and both sets of parents get along, mazel tov, throw the rice. It's beautiful, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if it's not that, it's complicated.
There you go. It's a situationship. So,
It's a situationship, absolutely. Heading
so
towards the rocks out, heading towards the
right.
rocks, but
That's right.
right.
So you mentioned you pulled some songs from, back a ways.
Yeah.
Which song goes back the furthest on this album?
Which song goes back the furthest? I think maybe Dying to Live.
Ah, ah.
Maybe Dying to Live. Um, that was recorded, when I did around the time of the Mistaken Identity sessions. And that was in the 90s, right?
Mhm.
And it was not included in the final sequence. Um, and I remember having to tell Misha Fambro, the singer, that it wasn't going to make it on the record. And he was pretty crestfallen. It was a drag. He did a
Mhm.
beautiful, and I love that he's going to be heard singing, but essentially a song that I've loved from the first time I've heard it from Edgar Winter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because that's the song that cover goes the furthest back. And interestingly enough, when we did new drums, I did new guitar bits, whatever, there's a track that that DJ Logic used these. I never scripted DJ Logic in terms of, hey man, use this sound to scratch. I said, hey man, whatever you hear. So he started finding these whale sounds, these kind of whale sounds. And I
Hmm.
was like, what? And I didn't, but what's so beautiful is that it worked in a way that I couldn't tell you why. And then when I did this version, I took one mix. Scotty Hard, who mixed the album, took all the whale sounds out, and I was like, "There's something wrong with this tune." This is what's not right. I said, "Oh, you got to bring the whale sounds back in," and he put the whale sounds, and then suddenly everything worked again. Because
Ah.
because I don't know, maybe it's a metaphor for the oceans and the whales and all that jazz, But there's
Hmm.
something about whale song, like once you've heard it, I mean, it's other world. Well, it's not otherworldly. It's from this world, but
Hmm.
it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. I mean, "Politician" is a song that I played. I mean, here's the weird thing, right? I'm a kid and I hear the lick to "Sunshine of Your Love" and "White Room."
Hmm.
And then the world, the universe being as weird as it is, circumstances put me in proximity of Jack Bruce. So I wound up playing White Room and I wound up playing all of these tunes with him, you know, and I wound up playing Politician. And I love that tune. I love the riff. I love the lyrics. And so doing Politician, in fact, Living Color, we did Sunshine of Your Love, for us, for the True Live soundtrack. But
Mhm.
playing Politician, I love that lyric and the way we did it with the three vocalists.
Mhm.
It turned out great.
It did. Were there, so kind of two different questions here because you've worked on
Yeah.
so many albums. What was different about this album compared to everything else you've worked on? And were there any surprises in putting this album together that, despite all the experience you've had, kind of caught you off guard a little bit, going, "Whoa,"
Yeah, like I tell you, the length of time that it was. I mean, Living Color, we've taken time with records, but this because of the pandemic, and then so that was a thing. Um, what was surprising to me, because these songs were kind of from different periods, kind of all over the place, including live tracks, including found sound stuff like Good Afternoon, Everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It at the end when we sequenced it, it works as a narrative. It's a crack brain narrative, but it, it's probably a story by telling. It's like a story being told to you that by someone ranting on a park bench, but somehow it makes a weird sense to you. And the fact that it makes a weird sense to you should be frightening to you. Uh, but that's the thing that it ultimately it does tell a story, and tells a story about a life lived. This is my weird, awesome life, and the way I see things and hear them. And this is also a record. It's a lot of it is a necessary tribute on a level, because Misha Fambro has passed. That meditation on the last time I saw Arthur Rames. He was a neighborhood hero. He was a phenomenal musician, incredible guitarist. The passing of Greg Tate overall, Jack Bruce.
Yeah.
And these are things not to put to the side. These are people that deserve the love I have for them.
Yep. My Jack's son put out a great tribute album to his father and his father's work and all that. I don't know if you caught it. Mostly kind of
I
an
want to
acoustic
Malcolm.
stuff.
Malcolm put
Malcolm,
one
yeah,
out. Yeah,
yeah.
he's a great. I want to check that. What's the name of the record?
Oh gosh, it's been about a year or
Malcolm
two
Bruce. I'll
back.
look
I
it. I'll
can't
look it.
remember.
I'll look it. I'll find it. I'll find it.
Yeah, I interviewed him too. You can check out the interview on my site.
Yeah, man.
But so I forgot to ask you in the beginning, where are you clicking in from? I'm assuming New York City,
I'm
right?
looking. I'm in the Dharma Lab at Shaolin, aka Staten Island. That's where
Oh,
I'm at.
okay. All right,
Yeah.
cool. Very good.
Hey, man.
So, but what's on your radar for the rest of the year?
We have a showcase show. Um, for Hoodoo Telemetry. The rest of the year is really about writing for Living Color, writing for the next Living Color record. That's the next thing that's up,
Very
and
cool.
that's pretty much the rest of my year. Like I'm gonna see, play a few. I'll see how the record's received. I'm putting together a band for a show, the Blue Note, on the 24th of September,
Hmm.
and then I'll go from there.
Well, when you get that Living Color album close to dropping, I'd love to interview you again about that one
Not
in
a problem.
particular. And
Not a problem.
because I've always loved the sounds you could create, and to me it was just the tones, all of that. You
Yeah.
grab people by the throat and don't let go until you're done, that kind of
Yeah,
thing,
man.
And so
Thank
it's
you.
I've wanted to talk to you for a long time. I'm glad we finally got to meet
I'm
up
glad,
and
glad
chat
we,
for a bit.
yep. Well,
So
man, I got to keep it moving. I got another interview.
understood.
Thanks.
Yeah, I do
I,
too. Thanks for your time.
Really, really enjoyed our chat, man.
Me too, man. Be safe, stay healthy.
You too now. Bye-bye.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.